Our special meeting for budgeting for March the 8th, 2016. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Ahrens, absent. Kammer.
Here.
Carbonaro.
Here.
Daney.
Here.
Hopkins.
Here.
Ranke. Here. President Wallace.
Here. This evening I will turn it over to staff, as I'm sure they have a wonderful presentation for us. And before I do that, I would like to recognize staff as much as we're going to hear this evening. The board has done a very diligent job in asking staff to cut their budget over the last couple of years by about $1.8 million. And I applaud the staff for working so hard, especially some of the last minute changes that needed to take place. So well done.
The first item we have up, in honor of it being so nice and warm today.
Madam Administrator, I forgot one very important thing. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, I apologize.
My bad.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Carbonaro. And now, without further ado, let the record show that Trustee Ahrens is with us.
Kind of.
Madam Administrator?
Kind of.
Yes. The first item, first department who will present today is Bartlett Hills. So we will progress as we usually do. We start going through some of the goals and objectives, that which has been accomplished, what they're looking for next year. We go through the indices of activities, which is on the next page. So you get a sense of what's going on. And then we talk about staff, training, travel, and lastly we get to capital equipment. So I think we will go through it in that process, and you certainly should interrupt and ask questions as we go along. Go ahead.
Good evening and thank you. I'm here to present the golf budget for 2016 and 17. Excuse me. Some of the highlights from last season. Our golf fund revenues are projected to go up by 12%. We have continued, as always, to host a number of annual golf outings for the Bartlett Chamber, Bartlett Lions Club, other civic groups like Bartlett Soccer, Bartlett Silverhawks Baseball, Hanover Township Food Pantry. Also, we have continued, as we have in the past, as the host for Bartlett High School, Elgin High School, and South Elgin High School golf teams. And one of the highlights this year is we've gone to a large number of online bookings through golfnow.com. And in previous year, we did about $90,000 in third-party bookings. Last year, that number escalated to almost $200,000, $199,000. I see that going near doubling again this year going forward. Everyone is looking to book online. That was part of the reason for the slight rate increase that we proposed, just to be able to discount a little bit off of a little bit of a higher rate, because that's what the marketplace is looking for. We're very positive going into this year. We had a historically bad May and June, a bad start to the fiscal year, yet we've rebounded and look to show hopefully a profit at the end of the year. Going forward, we will maintain our junior golf program. Another highlight last year, we had PGA Junior League, which is a traveling Little League style golf team that travels around to other golf courses, and they hold competitions. We had 18 kids participate in that program. That will probably double this year as well. We look to host 2 teams of Bartlett kids this summer. We have raised our rates slightly this year. We will continue to host the high school teams that we have in the past. Golf revenue in the clubhouse, midway, and beverage cart went up 10%. That was the highest increase ever. The expansion helped that. Obviously, getting some more rounds out there helps the beverage cart in the midway. In September, food and beverage sales were the highest ever, 161,000 for September. So very happy. This was going to take a while for these plans to go into place, and we saw it at the end of the year last year. In our summary here, there's nothing changing from a personnel standpoint. There are no changes in No changes in professional development. No changes in professional association detail.
You know, you might just give them a quick update on the simulator, because it's only around for a couple more weeks, but you have some indication of how successful that was.
The good news on the simulator is I really thought we'd do about $5,000 in revenue this winter. We are going to approach 10. The simulator's out of there next Tuesday. We are going to be somewhere around 9,000 to 9,500 plus what Paul has done additionally in food and beverage, which is about $2,000. So it's been a nice way to keep the clubhouse active. It's made some of our core golfers very, very happy. So we're very pleased with it and plan to go forward with it again next year. And we're going to go on to our capital outlay sheet here. First on that list, we've kind of put them in order of priority. These are all basically delayed maintenance to the clubhouse. The building is now 19 years old and is in need of some major repairs. We'll be asking for a clubhouse water heater. That's going to replace the two original heaters that are beyond their life expectancy. These two heaters would address the fluctuation in hot water usage. We've had some major issues with that. That's a necessary item. We have a roof that is in need of replacement. It's got about a 15-year life expectancy. It is now on year 19. We have had a number of issues with leaks in the roof, and fortunately, so far it hasn't happened at a bad time, but it does need to be addressed going forward. We are going to need to get a new roof. The decking on our veranda, where a lot of people utilize that to sit outside and we hold ceremonies out there, that is also in a shambles and needs to be replaced, as said on the sheets here. Though they're both in very poor condition. The one in the back we hold wedding ceremonies on, so that needs to look a lot better. It's a bad first appearance. Painting a clubhouse trim, these are all kind of the same story here. That's supposed to be painted about every 5 years. It's been a little bit longer than that any of that's been painted. The cedar trim on there. Parking lot resurfacing. Again, that's the very first thing you see when you drive into that building, and it doesn't look very good at all. So we're going to need that replaced. Our kitchen HVAC unit is, again, about 5 years past its life expectancy. Need to get that done, and we're also asking to replace the flooring in our cart room floor downstairs. Any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll be answering them to the best of our ability.
Anyone?
Then go ahead.
Questions? Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Good job.
It's great news. I mean, it's not a question, but I'll say, I mean, obviously this is great news, and you've worked so very hard and have really turned things around.
Yeah.
There. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
I don't know the last time that broke even.
I don't think it ever has.
Oh, back around 2001, I think it was.
2001?
Oh, yeah, it's been quite some time.
Well, that's when I had a season pass.
I guess I do have one question, Phil, with regards to the golf simulator. I hear some speculation from the golfers that have come through my office saying that they hear that maybe we're going to try to have 2 machines next year, and if so, where would you put the second one?
That's an idea we floated around because we've got some people who want to do leagues, and leagues you need more than one simulator to properly run a simulator league. You'd like the ability to have more than just 4 people in there at the same time. The problem is we don't have the space. I don't know that we have the space. We would have to look into, if we had 2 of them, we would have to find another place in the building. We can't put them in the restaurant or the banquet hall because having 2 simulators in there, we wouldn't be able to do a major wedding or anything like that. And one of those is more profitable than what we do on a simulator on in a whole winter.
Okay, just curious.
Thank you.
Move it along.
Good evening, everybody. I'll start on page 14, our capital outlay request for the maintenance department. All these 3 items are all vehicle replacement fund items. The first one is 2 walking greens mowers. This is to replace our 2 oldest ones. We have 8 total in our fleet. One of these is a 12-year-old model. The other one's a 14-year-old model. We try to keep these on about a 10-year rotation, so they've actually gone beyond their life expectancy. The second item is a utility tractor. It will replace our 1985 Ford tractor, our Irma told us that we can no longer use that tractor. It doesn't have a ROPS unit, a rollover protection device. Tried to find one, can't find one for a 1985-year-old tractor, so we actually had to take that tractor out of service, so we're down one tractor, so we'd like to get that replaced. The final item is a green sand chop dresser. Here again, we have one unit that's gone beyond its 10-year life expectancy. It's 12 years old right now, and as much sand top dressing as we do, we certainly don't want that to break down or have a accident with that, so we'd like to get that replaced as well. Moving on, our professional development detail is pretty much the same as years past, and same with our associations, no big changes. Going through line items, we're pretty much flatlined. Our total numbers just slightly over 1%. And any questions? Okay, I'll hand it over to Pat.
Okay, then moving ahead over to page 25, food and beverage begins. No personnel requests for the restaurant, and no capital outlay request. We already did a good job with the expansion the year before, and then we've taken advantage to a lot of that, so we've already addressed a lot of needs that way, so there's nothing in there this year. Under professional development, really the only thing those are going to apply to are BASSET training for staff, food handling certification for all staff that needs it. It's about $14.95 a person. They do it online. It lasts for about 3 years, and that's assuming about 7 new people trained each year to go ahead and fit in there, give or take a little bit.
One thing I might let you know, some of you noticed it last year when we were out on the course for different events, we were having some problems with our card reader for credit cards at the Midway House. Yeah, it was a problem. And we had IT out, and we had done a lot of different things. We weren't able to solve it. So actually, and I think we're going to start doing it soon, right? We are bearing a line that will go from where to where, gentlemen?
That's going to go from the clubhouse to the halfway house.
So we won't have any more problems. We put a direct line in, and we think that certainly that will make economic sense since credit cards are used extensively.
And we did also purchase a second remote reader, so both beverage carts during the 10 events that we're going to have, or 12 events that would be necessary. No reason to fight with that or try to move credit cards from cart to cart. Let's just do it the right way and be efficient with speed of service and everything. So that'll be something this year also. Under golf restaurant line items, we're down about 5% altogether. I think the biggest highlight in there was under food and beverage purchases being down by about 22%. I think we did a lot of items with specials in the clubhouse. We used up some banquet items a lot more that we could go ahead and sell as specials. We got a lot of samples in to go ahead and do that, to go ahead and drive the cost down for what we were doing. So that made a big difference for us. Skipping through next to banquet, I'm on 32. Again, no capital outlay in banquet. The line items are as you see them as presented there. If there's any questions, I can certainly answer them about the line items for banquet.
What falls into the service agreements?
What goes into service agreements?
So on page 34, we have them itemized. Flip one more, we show you what goes into all those different line items, and on service agreements at the top, we have a list of them.
Thank you.
I noticed on the following page, page 35, bank charges of $3,750, and it's not unique to this department either. Do we need to start shopping around for a different bank? I mean, it just seems like the bank charges are significant.
Are these credit card fees or are these?
We certainly should look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, it just seemed like an awful lot.
Yeah, those are credit card fees. For banquets, we'll take the initial deposit as a credit card. We would take even the just for convenient for the folks, the $1,500 second deposit as a credit card, but we require that the final payment be done with cash or check. I think the slight increase in credit cards can also be attributed to the fact that the credit cards are, because the restaurant was up, the credit cards are up in the Midway in the clubhouse, and the beverage card, because those revenues went up significantly. So it kind of
offsets it. Okay.
offsets
That makes
itself a
sense.
little bit, but it does follow with the increase in revenue to some degree.
And if I can chime in real quick as well, being in the golf shop all the years I've been in there, the amount of cash we take in on a daily basis dwindles and dwindles every year. Everyone pays with a credit card, a debit card, something like that. It's very little cash we handle nowadays.
So does the clubhouse, the pro shop, and the restaurant have the same credit card company?
We do.
You do, all right.
It
So,
all goes through Visa, MasterCard anyway.
what's that?
All charges go through Visa or MasterCard.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, but there are various other terminal companies out there that are offering better rates of whatever your percent that they're charging you to use the card. Like Trustee Ranky was saying, I think we could shop out different and maybe bring it down a 0.5% or 1/4%, or
Right.
something of that nature.
That's a great idea, and we'll certainly explore that for sure.
Going past Banquet, you'll find Midway next, and our little halfway house out there does a real good job, pulls in a lot of money at a real good profit out there, and it saw some record numbers this year, and we hope that just continues to grow with some good weather and everything else for the year coming up. And that's it for food and beverage, if you have any questions.
I want to make one comment about the Midway. All the years I've been playing golf out there, you know, early on, the quality that of the sandwiches and whatnot that they had previously left something to be desired. And I have to commend you on the quality of the food now that we have. We would buy a sandwich, and there'd be one piece of meat, okay? I mean, it was just like, what's going on here, guys? But you guys have really stepped up and done a marvelous job with that, so I want to thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Very important to be nice and consistent and do it the same way every day. And we've sold a lot of deli sandwiches.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe to improve revenues, we should go back to that one piece.
Before
You're
we,
going to have some arguments about that, but
before we leave the golf course, I do want to commend Paul. We came to the fish fry a few weeks ago, and it was outstanding. Just outstanding. The buffet line for the salads and soups and all that stuff was good. And I got to tell you, my walleye was outrageous. So, good job.
very good to hear. We
We've had a good turnout at the fish fry, and our reservations for Easter are halfway to being full.
So, yes, and we look forward to, finally, the important thing is to go ahead and keep on marketing the new expanded facility. This was our first full season for people to see it for a whole year round during the busy Christmas, Valentine's Day engagement season, and that's going to increase our average guest count per wedding, and I think it'll keep going through as we keep marketing year after year after year. So you'll see the larger events keep on going. We did the 10 we pointed out. We have 6 on the books already for next year that we couldn't have done without the expansion. So that's very good.
That was a great idea.
I don't want to scare you, but there is a park board member that we go out to dinner with often on Friday nights, and it's just maybe a bit of a competition. And we went to Villa Olivia, which is a lovely place. But I do have to say Bartlett Hills had better service and a much, much better atmosphere.
Thank you very much.
I wouldn't mind seeing some type of an attempt, and I've mentioned this before, to increase the visibility of our sign. I mean, I drove past both of our signs today. Not both of ours. I drove past the Park District sign at Villa Olivia, speaking of the Park District, and it's like, okay, come in, here's what we got. I know it's on 20, it's an easier place, but we really need to figure out a way to take advantage of the thousands and thousands of cars that are going up and down 59. You can only see it from one side.
We'll have to move it. That is the only spot that we could put it in. When we put it in there, you've got the right-of-way and then the property that we're able to get from the Alpern family to put it up there. There wasn't any other option at the time. We could take another look at that and see if there isn't a different spot to move it.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Ms. Administrator, but we've got all those trees right by that tee box. I mean, we could move it back up on the hill a little bit more, and you could see it from both sides. There's got to be ways
on
on
our
our property. Yeah, there's got to be a way that we can create a sign there that is very significant. It'll help Paul out. It'll help Phil out. It'll let people know important information about the golf course, how to get to the golf course, because that's the challenge sometimes. I just think we're wasting an opportunity there, so let's try to
elevate it as well, maybe.
All right,
5,
let's
6
take
hundred?
another look at that.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list is the building department, who in staff today said you had 40 permits waiting, if I'm not mistaken. 80.
Hi, everyone. I'll wait till you get to the building department tab.
You might need to pull your microphone a little closer, Brian.
Okay. Got it? Got it now?
There you go.
All right. The building department, obviously, we're going to have another busy year. Our goal is to provide, obviously, safe buildings for residents and businesses. If we go to our strategic goals, objectives that we have, our staff continues to monitor the vacant homes, and by doing so, we've greatly improved the village's appearance and safety in these homes. We've conducted 500 VBR inspections this past year and re-registered 90 vacant homes. We still have a lot that come online and we're not made aware of until like the very last minute. So we do monitor the existing homes on a daily basis. Miscellaneous permits continue to flourish. Existing housing stock is obviously is older and is requiring some upgrades such as roof, driveways, and windows. So that's why we are seeing an increase in our miscellaneous permits. Obviously, with what Valerie just mentioned, is that I just approved 80 permits today. A lot of them were driveway replacements and things like that in some townhome areas. And we've reviewed and approved about $32 million in improvement this past year. If we want to look at on page 4, the building summary page. As you can see, I'm estimating 19 residential homes this year. 14 roughly will be out in the Bartlett Point West, which will be in our first homes in Kane County this year. And then the rest will be an influx of the 84 existing lots that we still have sporadic throughout the town. New construction permits, roughly around 3. We're looking at Exeter, Camcraft, and then another Greco expansion, or another Greco spec building. Most likely that'll be coming in. Again, 2,300 miscellaneous permits, about 30 final occupancies. Drainage concerns continue to rise as they dropped off about 5 years ago, but we seem to be on an upswing, probably because of the wet conditions we've had. Inspections roughly around 5,500, and then we're estimating about 110 vacant building registries this year. So we have gone down quite a few. We have less than 200 now vacant building registries in our database. So as you can see, a lot of the homes that have been vacant are a lot nicer than some of the ones in that general area that have been turned over. So it really helps. Basically, I'm requesting our part-time data and secretary that I have to a full-time position this year. And that's just because of our FOIAs that we have and our vacant building registries. It takes quite a bit of our time. We're dealing with a lot of phone calls that come in, and it's very hard for our staff to wait on the customer service people and also deal with the phone calls that come in and take the inspections for the week and the following day. And as far as the building inspector position, we're going to leave that open, and Don and I will continue to conduct the general inspections on a daily basis, and we have a part-time inspector that we can use on a needed basis when we get really busy. So the line items, professional development has been reduced again this year, and all of the other line items have come in under budget. My associations are all the same, and I'd be able to answer any questions anyone might have regarding the building department.
Currently, can anyone go online and do their permits on our website?
No, we don't have. You can download all the information, but you'd have to come in and submit it.
Is it something I know other municipalities in the area, you can actually do some of the building miscellaneous permits online, and that might reduce some staff time inside the front desk?
We'd still have to monitor it. I mean, we still get a lot of stuff online that we review daily with requests and that type of thing. They would still have to submit a lot of documents, so they'd have to scan and send them in, and it'd probably be a lot more phone calls and stuff that we would have to do. I don't know that our existing system would allow us. I'd have to check into that, but it's something that we can look into.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Next on the list is
Thank you, Brian.
community development, who won the contest to pick where you go in the order, and this is where Jim picked.
Telling me you should pick last. People are way less critical in 3 hours than they are in 45 minutes.
I don't know why I picked third. It just sounded like a good number. Community development tab is right after Brian's tab, so just keep turning the pages. Community development department, obviously in their highlights and what we're responsible for is subdivision, zoning, FOIAs, GIS, staffing the various commissions, handling the TIF districts, economic development, and that really hasn't changed. It's just increased over the years where we've taken on the FOIAs. As Brian said, they're extensive, and the GIS system, which is blossoming. Our highlights or action steps continue to meet with numerous businesses throughout the year. We've expanded our advertising, cable TV ads, the restaurants, the Heritage Days. You probably heard some of that, saw those ads. We'll continue to do that. We continue to work in the business park with the open house and promoting it in that sense. And as you know, we're currently working with the RTA on the grant for the downtown plan. Facebook page is up there. Still working with Albertsons to try to fill that vacant Dominic space, and we're hoping that something will be announced soon in that end, so we're confident that they'll do something more. GIS staff doing a lot of work on the website with all the different departments, creating numerous maps at the request of whoever asked for those. We even do some GIS work for, like at a park district request through the chamber or other entities. Just going through some of the other highlights, we've done the signed text amendments, the marketing plan, which we've started with the draft, the dining guide, the banners for the downtown or West Bartlett Road. You now see the 125-year anniversary banner that's just been put up recently, and we can thank the Public Works people for doing that, and we designed those in-house. And then various concept plans and subdivisions and industrial buildings, as Brian pointed out. You're going to soon see Exeter, which is a big one, Camcraft, Greco's new one hasn't come in yet, but it's coming soon. And we also continue to see development in our Blue Heron Business Park with out there. We've got one building up. We've reviewed the site plan for a second building that's going up, and we'll soon be the headquarters of your traffic barricades in the Midwest, because they'll have two companies there that will provide all the traffic barricades we want. And then we've just sat down with a beverage distribution company that is going to submit for going into Blue Heron. So we're seeing some activity out there as well as Brian pointed out that Bartlett Point West is underway in terms of the subdivision development, and you will soon see Bartlett Ridge, the subdivision on Naperville Road, if you remember that one from last year. And they've submitted for final plat, and so that'll be coming. And in terms of staffing, we're at the same. Just in terms of some of the activity measures, and just petitions are up a little bit. Code complaints are about the same, but you'll see a big increase in the FOIAs. They're over 1,000, and we expect that to just increase because people are asking for everything, and that's divided up into all the different departments. We process those FOIAs through our system, and then each department has responsibility to fill those, and we get them out through the system. And GIS maps were really spiked last year, but that was because a lot of the Emerald Ash Borer, there was a lot of need for that, and we coordinated with Public Works the tablets and developed the system so they can go down and inventory those which are taking down and which ones are put up. We think that'll go down a little bit, but it's still a big part of what we do. Nothing really in positions. We're staying the same staffing-wise. No real new equipment. We figured our one truck will let go another year. So, but it still runs fine. It just doesn't look that great. In terms of going to conferences and that, we've put in to go to our New York National Planning Conference, something that is out of state, so we've put in for that, and then also for IEDC, which is an economic development training paid out of the TIF, Brewster Creek TIF, to go to Milwaukee. Basically, the rest of the trade shows, the staff seminars, we do a lot of those online, and they're fairly local, so there's really not much change there. Professional associations, basically the same that we've had in the past years, and as you can see on the page 10, our line item is increased for about 1%. We did put a little more money into board ups. We've had some board up issues where we boarded it up and then again broken in. We reboarded it, but we put in for just a little bit more in the board up, and everything else is basically staying the same. Our rebate at $20,000, we have one more rebate left, and that is with Welsh Brothers, which ends this year. So that, unless we do something else, that line item will probably go away next year. We've kept the marketing the same, and basically that's the sum and substance of our budget. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
When we board up properties, do we ever turn around and lien them? The one we were boarding up, we're definitely going to lien it, but it's been vacant so long, we're not going to get anything from it. And that one is just a particular problem. We've had the police out there. We've been out there. It keeps getting broken into. There must be something in there, but we haven't gone in there to find it. So, but it's just continuing that one. There's one that just keeps getting broken into. And we're hoping someday somebody will buy it, rehab it, and then turn it over into the vacant building. And we're seeing, the registry, and we're seeing a lot of properties. Our foreclosures are really down too. So So things are being turned into productive. Yeah, right, right,
But it's bank-owned at this point.
yes,
Is that on Sheridan?
yes.
I run by there once in a while, so.
It'll run fast.
Yeah, it's a nice house. I don't know why it's been empty
Yeah,
so long.
it is, so I don't know.
Is beverage distribution center code for brewery?
I wish it was,
I
but
did too.
Not yet.
beer distributor mainly.
I was told at some point there was a brewery looking to, maybe that was his.
We've had people interested in doing like a microbrewery looking in the village for locations, but that one is more of it's a warehouse.
Okay, and just to reiterate, we're going to be the, what do they call it? Those, the barricade capital
Yeah,
of.
right,
We
traffic
are.
barricade.
Horse capital.
Traffic barricade capital of the United States, I guess.
Right.
At least the Midwest, right?
Yeah, they're two biggest ones.
What's the name of that company?
One is TSI and the other one is TCP, and one stands for Traffic Services Incorporated, and the other one is Traffic Control Products. So,
That one is located by Pheasant Run in that area, isn't it?
yeah,
North Avenue?
One's on North
They're
Avenue.
relocating.
coming, and the other one was in town. They just built a new building. So.
Do you know that?
What's the last thing, Jim, we've heard from Albertsons?
The last thing we heard.
Other than the
when they
meeting that
told
I
us-
had with the president saying we might have somebody on the hook.
Right.
Well, when they told us end of February that they would make some announcement, that's come and gone, and we've been in touch with them, basically the same people we met with weekly, and they're still working on the same deal that they mentioned, but are not ready to relinquish anything.
Well, Jim, while the president brought this up, I've had a number of residents complain to me about the old Dominic site, and I wonder when was the last time we inspected that?
Well, in terms of code enforcement, we did send a code officer out there, and he's going to write them up for some code complaints, but I've not been inside that building for quite some time.
Well, I think it might
More
be
of an
time.
exterior kind of inspection.
Yeah, buildings don't like to be unoccupied, so I'm sure there's something going on, and with all these resident complaints, I think it's time to start addressing that.
Yeah, he noticed some trash and debris strewn about and things just untidy. But that could as well be caused by the current tenants too, but we'll get on with the owner of the building, and we're in touch with them pretty regularly.
Yeah. I just think I'd concur with Trustee Ranke. It's time to turn up the heat on this place, and if it's going to remain vacant, it's got to be pristinely vacant.
Right.
That's a good point.
Jim, I just have one comment. I'd like to thank you very much for the presentation you had this evening, and I'm very excited about the additional development that you're talking about, for next year in the respective business parks. And I do have to ask you, though, have you had an interest? We have our strategic planning coming up this Saturday, and I must ask this question to satisfy myself. What about the interest in TIF from businesses? Have we seen businesses that are walking away from Bartlett because we don't have a TIF available, for example, in the downtown area?
We hear that what the term we hear more is, and we hear it from almost everyone, is as an incentive, wanting an incentive to come in, and whether that means TIF or whether it means like in the Cook County a tax incentive like the 6B or sales tax or some type of facade. We hear that, and we do hear about the want or desire for some type of TIF in the downtown for redevelopment, but we hear it other places too. There, even on 59 and Stearns, can this be made into a TIF or something in other locations? So,
yeah, well, I know, for example, that I believe it was Elk Grove. They had a business that was going to relocate, and somehow they were able to keep them because of that bond you just talked about. What was that again?
The 6B.
6B, right.
Elk Grove Village is the king of doing the 6Bs. They do a lot of them because they are in Cook County.
And judging from the reaction this board had with the downtown TIF before, you know, I would be looking forward to using something like that to promote businesses in this area. And with the strategic planning coming up on Saturday, is there some way that we could get, that I could get a little more information on this? Some of the board members may know what that means, but I'm not exactly sure how it works or how to put it in play. I know it has to go before Cook County, you know, and then, but I'm not exactly clear on how that works. I'd like to have some mechanism that we could fall back on, you know, if we have a business that's interested in relocating or relocating, whatever the case may be, in the downtown area, or maybe even another area if we don't have to create a TIF, if we can offer this 6B.
What the, yes, there, in Cook County, there are a number of property tax incentives. I use the term 6B because that's the one that I'm most familiar with because we've done it with Seabird. And you'll probably be seeing it in the near future again because we're working on developers that want to request for those again. The other incentive in the downtown area in Cook County, which several of our businesses take advantage of, and we will see more of that, is that what they call the mixed use classification. So they're classified because they have an apartment, a rental unit upstairs, and they get a mixed-use classification. We have existing businesses that take care of that, and we'll see new ones take advantage of that. So I can be glad to send everybody out the 6B stuff because that's going to be coming to the forefront fairly soon from some recent requests that we've gotten, and we've used it in the past. It's an incentive that we have to endorse, and then the Cook County board has to approve. And as I said, Elk Grove does a lot of them. And the one we've had has been successful.
I know the old Dominic site at 59 in Stearns is not in Cook County, but if there was a TIF district or a special service area, do you think the old Dominic's would be rented out right now if there was an incentive available?
No.
No?
No, because we have offered sales tax.
We can do a sales tax incentive, and in that kind of facility, it's pretty substantial. And even given that, and the board's willingness to do it in the past, that has not raised any interest level.
All right, thank you.
I think at some point they're looking at sort of chopping it up and doing some different things with it and making more manageable size units, and that seems to be the thing that will hopefully be most successful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Who's next?
Public Works.
$2 million man.
The salt guy.
The $2 million man.
Not using much of that this year. Thank God.
Keep it.
We'll start out with the street maintenance budget. Some of the highlights for next year. It's about a 7% decrease. Mainly due to our janitor for Village Hall moving over to our water division. There was an opening and he moved over there, and we're leaving that position open. We have seen a reduction in our salt use this year. As everyone knows, we've had a nice mild winter, so that's helped a lot.
We start selling it for the water softeners, it'd be easier to go get some salt from you than...
Yeah, we might be able to do that. Although we've met our minimum order, so we're in good shape there.
And we've also been using beet juice, as you know, mixed with our salt, which has given us the ability to use a little bit less salt to extend its capacity and do something that's very green.
And turn the streets red.
Yeah. And we've been able to increase the amount of LED streetlights, as we've talked about before. The program we're on is, as lights go out, we're changing them to LED, and we were able to do about 72 this year. As far as, well, I'll get the capital outlay. As far as highlights for 15-16, we continue to have our crews do pavement patching, which has been very beneficial in saving us money from hiring contractors to do that work, along with the mud jacking of our sidewalks. That's also been very, very beneficial, because not all the time do you need to remove and replace a sidewalk. If it's just a small trip hazard, we can lift it and take care of that issue. We also replaced the downtown trash receptacles, if you've seen those. And very shortly, we're going to be starting the expansion of the Public Works building down at the garage, so that everyone's excited to get that one rolling along. Summary of street maintenance summary, pretty much everything stayed the same except for the Assistant Public Works Director position continues to be vacant, and the custodian, as we talked about, the janitor position at Village Hall. Capital outlay, on page 4. We had 2 large dump trucks scheduled. We're proposing to replace one of those. We've got a small dump truck due for replacement. One of our street sweepers is due for replacement. That's a big ticket item. We had some locating equipment, pressure washer, steam cleaner, hydraulic lift. We're all pushing that to next year. We've got the hydraulic breaker. Those are all things that help us with our patching and that type of work. Plate compactor, walk behind saw. We're going to push that one back. 4-wheel drive tractor is due for replacement. It's a 1999. We did push back the Village Hall parking lot resurfacing. Pending the decision of the police department, we didn't want to put in a new parking lot and then tear it up with an expansion if that's the direction it heads. We do have some Schick Road bridge repairs. We have a consultant that does our bridge inspections, and their report shows that we need to do some more like routine maintenance that needs to get done, but if we don't do it, it'll become more significant in the future. Professional development, pretty much everything is staying the same. Professional associations staying the same. On the professional development, we do have the IP, or the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network we're planning to go to. The Illinois Public Services Institute, that's a management training program. Bob Allen went to it last year. We did apply for a scholarship last year and got it. It's about a $500 scholarship. We're applying again, so that'll help bring those costs down. And we have the American Public Works Association National Conference in Minneapolis. Expenditures, pretty much, we've got the 7% overall reduction. We did adjust our salt, because right now we are, with the 200 tons that will be delivered shortly, we will be pretty much full. So going in, well, knock on wood, we don't have any major events. We still can get hit, but I like the weather we've been having lately. If that continues, then we will go into next season full or very near full, which is a good thing. I think that's it for streets, unless you have questions.
I have one question for you. On the authorized staffing, under streets maintenance summary, you have Public Works Director, 0.34. Do we only get a third of you?
Yes, because I'm shared between streets, water, and sewer.
Okay.
You'll see it on the others.
Yeah.
With a day like today, Dan, I have to ask, how's the arborist coming along with our flower baskets to be hanging up on the roadway?
We have them ordered already, but it's still a little early to have those up. We need to
make
make
'em
sure we don't
nice.
get that frost. We don't want to kill those flowers. But
That's right.
they are busy growing right now. So. Any other questions on street?
I just had a question on the age of those dump trucks that we're replacing. I know only one of them was funded. Is it? It just doesn't seem like that old. In 2007, do we get rid of those just because trying to get some money out of them when we get rid of them? I saw Kevin up here replacing a 1985 Ford. Now we got a 2007. And I get it if it probably wear and tear with salt, but just an explanation.
They do. And one of the main issues there is in '07, I believe that was a year we bought like 6 large trucks. So we're trying to spread. We don't want to buy 6 all at once. So we're trying to spread it out. So we thought we would buy 1 now. But we do have 5 other 7s that are coming due. So we're going to try to spread that out.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a trade-in value for it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We will
And
be.
also, like the street sweeper, is there a trade-in value for that?
There will be, yep. I'll move on to water.
We're good. Yeah. Get wet.
Tom is here to help me out if you have any questions. On the budget highlights for water, pretty much staying unchanged.
Sorry, Dan, I just had one more question that I missed. I'm sorry. Under your staffing, you have .34 for Public Works Director, which is you, assistant, and a civil engineer. Do you do all 3 of those jobs now?
Civil engineer would be our village engineer, Bob Allen,
They're sharing.
and the assistant's vacant.
Yeah.
So
So it's just
we're
kind of
sharing.
like a mix.
We're sharing.
Okay. I just want to make sure that eventually, if we do staff those, then we understand why the numbers changed. 'Cause, you're not really 1/3 of a person to stand. But you do share, so you got it split in between this, water, and sewer. Yeah. Okay.
One of the things that in water, we had a retirement and a maintenance worker leave. We ended up leaving one of those positions vacant. As I said before, the janitor moved over, so we'll instead of 7, we have 6 in that area. So that's part of the savings that we'll see there. One of the bigger projects we're doing in the water, we're going to be replacing water main on South Oak Glen. We've had issues with water main breaks and want to be able to take care of that. And as you know, the Oneida water tower was scheduled this year. It came in very high. We decided to postpone that one, and we're looking to do Kent Circle this summer, which is in need of painting as well. We're also going to be moving forward on the water decision to go 100% Elgin. We're working on those agreements, the agreement with Elgin, and we have a lot of projects to get done, so we'll be moving forward with the pump station, Lake Street pump station upgrade. We've got the second pump station. All that stuff needs to start moving along so we can get that transition in a timely manner. So we'll move that along. Same with, as with the streets, we're doing more and more water main breaks and service repairs in-house, which is saving us money. Our first year with Aqua Backflow, who is helping us administer our backflow preventer program, cross-connection program, that's been positive. And the in-house excavations has been very good, so we're going to continue moving forward with that. The water summary, as I said, we had 2 positions leave. We're filling one of those, and what we're proposing for this next year is to have 2 senior maintenance. We currently had 1 senior maintenance and 6 maintenance workers. We're looking to break that up into 2 seniors and 4 maintenance. One of the seniors will be more for the system maintenance, doing those hydrant repairs, water main breaks, that type of stuff. And the other one will do the wells and the pump stations, the water towers, and that type of stuff. Kind of two guys, two supervisory positions in those roles. We also have a reduction in the billing clerk to half. Our activity measures pretty much stay level throughout. Capital outlay, there's not a lot here, but we do have the Main Street pump station needs a new roof. That pump station will still be active when we do convert over to Elgin. This is the one south of Village Hall. We had new desktop computers, level control panel for the Villa Olivia Tower, valve installation, Kathy Lane, pressure reducing valve. We have several pressure reducing valves around town. They all need to be maintained basically and rebuilt periodically. And the automatic hydrant flushing unit, we've seen positive results in keeping fresh water, high quality water in the system and low active dead end type areas. If we put this hydrant in there, it flushes it periodically to keep the water fresh. Problem is during the winter we can't do that because the ground, it freeze. So we've run into some of those issues, some of those concerns this winter a little bit, but not too bad overall. Professional development and associations pretty much staying on track with what we've done in previous years. Expenditures, as I said, basically the retirement of a position and not filling as a result, 0% change. Any questions?
When we switch to 100% Elgin, are we going to add any elevated storage tanks?
Yes. We have elevated and ground storage. We'll have ground storage at the new pump station, and then we still have to locate the elevated, but we're thinking one of the business parks would be ideal.
We put one right at the corner of 59 and West Bartlett Road for the golf club signage.
In the shape of a golf ball.
In the shape of a golf. It's not a bad idea, actually.
Brilliant.
It's not.
Point in the village.
Speaking of water towers, the one near Villa Olivia, that's Village Tower, isn't it?
That one's in need of painting as well.
Okay, I was kind of going there. It's looking a little rough, and I'm sure if the Park District wants some advertising, they'll be happy to help us defray some of the costs.
That's right, because we don't have any plans to paint that next year.
They contacted me to find out when we were going to be painting it, and I told them how much it was, and they said, oh, okay.
And it wouldn't say Villa Olivia on it any longer if we paint it.
I think we should put the village
Say welcome to
logo on it.
Bartlett.
Village of Bartlett.
Now, let's be nice now.
Anything else with water? We'll move on to sewer, and John's here. Highlights. We're proposing a 1% decrease. Pretty much we're trying to stay level as much as possible. We are seeing the increase in some chemical costs. Just overall, chemical costs are going up. And then the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group, as you'll recall, we entered into that agreement with them to help postpone the phosphorus limit on our NPDES permit for 10 years. So there's capital payments that we make to that group, and they're going to make improvements to the west branch of the DuPage and Salt Creek, environmental improvements to those creeks that help, that allowed us to buy 10 years basically before we have a phosphorus limit on our wastewater treatment plant. So that's part of the increase that we're seeing there. One of the things we're proposing in the sewer division, we currently have 4 operators. We're proposing to go to 3 operators. We have 1 senior maintenance. We're looking to go to 2 senior maintenance One thing that we've seen is, as you know, we bought a camera last year, and that is being used quite regularly, and it's helping us out a lot. So we really want to kind of have two senior maintenance similar to the water. We want to have kind of guys doing the Vector truck cleaning the sewers, so that we can get out and do the sewer televising, so we can stay ahead of problem sections of sewer. We also are doing sewer repairs in-house, which is helping save some costs with contractors. I want to thank the police department. We took their old command vehicle and turned it into our televising truck, and it's actually working out really well. It works perfect for what we need. It's a good reuse of that piece of equipment, and I'm happy to. That's the old ambulance.
Yeah, remember, we got that from the fire district many, many years ago. We got a retired ambulance, and now Dan proudly has the old ambulance.
Because we can actually control that. Once that camera gets down in the sewer, it's a remote control, so they can, even in inclement weather, we can be inside that truck now and be able to do what we need to do, which is very nice. Highlights for this year, the Country Creek Lift Station. That's the one that's the 43-foot deep lift station that we are going to eliminate. That one's going to get started end of March, early May, or early April, and should be completed hopefully end of April, early May. There's a long lead time on the pumps, so that's what's taking so long to get that one. But once we get the pumps, the contractor's ready to get in there and take care of that one. We did install the inline grinder for our centrifuge, and that's helping out a lot, helping us remove water from the solids, basically. We continue to do maintenance out at the treatment plant. We got rid of some 20-year-old sodium hypochlorite tanks. John's been replacing doors and doing all kinds of maintenance, which is good, keeping it up to speed. As far as the summary, as I already talked about the position changes, the 3 operators and 1 extra senior maintenance worker. Activity measures pretty much staying consistent. One thing we're seeing with all the rain that we had over the winter and that, our flows at the plant are up. We know that because we have I&I issues, but we'll see what the spring brings. But we continue, that's why we continue to televise. We do that sewer lining program. It's all working towards sealing that, we say, groundwater from getting into the sanitary sewers. Capital outlay. We have a sewer, our Vector truck is in need of replacement. We're going to defer that one more year. We've got Apple Orchard lift station upgrade, basically changing out the electrical control panel. We've got a new van, elevator arm for the the camera. Basically, what our camera right now can do up to like a 12 to 15 inch. If we get this extra arm, it gets the camera basically out of the water and allows us to do bigger pipes up to 48 inch, which we have some large 36 inch pipes that come to the plant that we need to televise, so that'll help us do that. And then we've got electric control panel at Campanelli lift station as well. Professional development, same thing. John attended the management training, applied for a scholarship and received it last year, and we're hoping to do the same this year. Members, professional associations is pretty much staying the same. As far as expenditures, like I said, probably the big new expense is the DuPage River Salt Creek work group stuff that we're deferring to phosphorus. think that covers everything. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a couple of questions. A few things that you had made a decision to do is in both sewer and water is increase the senior personnel and decrease the operator. Can you explain the differences in their duties?
The senior is more of a crew leader, so he can have the maintenance workers under him and kind of lead that team, that crew. So we can send them off, and you know that there's a guy in charge, basically. And when you're doing the televising for the sewer or something, you want someone that kind of is in charge running the show. Otherwise, if they're all, someone's got to take the lead, basically. So that's mainly what we're looking at, is trying to have someone be able to run those crews when they're out there, especially when we get into, because we're doing excavating and doing sewer repairs, water main breaks, you want to have a competent person in charge of that crew and making sure that everything's being done safely, properly, and efficiently.
Are we promoting operators, or is that what we're doing? Just promoting and not replacing
Internal,
the
right.
operator?
Right.
And what is the financial difference? I guess my biggest concern is that we get too many supervisors, and then that escalates our retirement, and then we're going to have to replace the workers next year or something. That's my concern.
I think it's maybe a couple dollar difference. The senior maintenance versus
In two different occasions, we use the term senior
maintenance versus
Senior
maintenance.
maintenance and operator in the sewer, and then in the water, we're talking about a senior, I think it's the same terminology.
In the water, it's a senior, we're adding a senior maintenance.
Senior maintenance
instead of
worker and a maintenance worker.
And the operator versus senior is a lot closer. Those are not very far apart at all. But the senior to maintenance, I'd have to look at the thing, but I think it's maybe a couple of dollars an hour.
Okay.
It's just kind of a balancing, on the sewer side, we had a lot more maintenance workers, and when you send out a crew, you didn't have the crew leader. So there's been some issues as far as, well, who's in charge type thing. So by having, and what we're doing with the two seniors is one of those seniors is going to be mainly focused at maintenance down at the treatment plant. The other senior is going to be kind of running the crews out in the system.
Okay.
How many sewer connection points do we have in DuPage County?
Sewer connection points in DuPage?
Yeah.
I don't have that off the top of my... Are you talking about services?
Yeah, services.
Services? Services.
Yeah. How many sewers drain to the water reclamation in Bartlett?
Actually, okay, we have 13 lift stations.
No, he wants to know
in
how many
DuPage.
private services.
Yeah, private services.
Private services.
Yeah.
I don't have that number, but
Yeah, I don't have it offhand.
So all the residents in DuPage County, they drain to Bartlett's water reclamation, and we treat that water. And the people in DuPage County, they pay more on their water bill for that service. Is that my understanding?
Right.
So in the sewer, our summary here, how is it broken down to see how much money we actually collect from the DuPage residents to cover the services of Bartlett's water reclamation?
In the finance department, when we do our water and sewer billing, we know who has DuPage sewer, who has Cook County sewer. There is a difference in the rates for DuPage. So we know how many accounts we have at any given time, and what those different rates are, and we're able to calculate what the revenue is to cover these operations.
So we could actually make like a chart and actually show what all the expenses are for the actual water reclamation? And what the income is, or what the revenue is from the DuPage site to fund this?
We can definitely determine what the revenue is.
Okay. Yeah.
And probably
Just
come
like
pretty
this,
close
yeah.
to the expense.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Is that because you don't think you're paying enough on the Cook County side and you want to pay more?
I shouldn't be paying anything.
I see. I thought you just wanted to pay more, Adam.
I would love to.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
All right. Dan, it was a dirty job, but somebody had to do it, right?
Parking?
Oh, we got parking. I forgot about the all infamous parking.
One more. Not much there.
What page?
I could overlook that gigantic.
What page?
It is 44.
Really, there's not much of a change. I'll just kind of cover the capital outlay. We've got a couple snow blowers to be replaced, and then we're putting in some maintenance for the parking lots. This will entail like crack sealing, seal coating, striping, that type of stuff. We will have resurfacings probably coming up, but right now we're just proposing to do some routine maintenance.
As far as parking goes, has any commuters complained about walking from the west end all the way to the train station?
Oh, really?
The west end.
The west end. No?
Not that I've heard.
Well, you got to figure if they're walking to the west end all the way to the train station, they're getting dropped off right by their car.
Yeah.
Adam, you're talking about the split station? I hear about it constantly.
They wouldn't call the village anyways. Call Metro and complain.
Is that all we have?
It's really all I have.
Realistically, we have an overabundance of salt that we could use instead of getting the snow blowers.
What's that?
We have an overabundance of salt. So do we really?
We don't want to apply it like Metro does on the platform because that's pretty thick.
I tried.
Yeah. We need 10-minute break.
All right, we're going to take like a 5-minute break here.
Good idea.
So we will break from 5 minutes. 20 after, we'll reconsume. We'll continue.
I had to get up on my legs for starting.
Michael?
We get started with the budgeting. A resident had requested to make a few comments regarding our snow plowing. So, ma'am, if you want to go ahead and step up to the podium and let us know what you think. If that.
Do you need help? Okay.
Right here?
That's perfect. You can just let the clerk know your name and address, please. And take your time. We're not in any hurry.
In no hurry.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I think we will all agree that we had a very mild winter this year.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't know it to look at my parkway. I brought pictures. I don't know if you'd like to pass these around. I was out there this afternoon trying to pick my sod up and put it back where it was. The amusing thing is, the Examiner recently had an article where people were complaining that the plows weren't coming close enough to their curbs. They should come over and look at mine. I'm lucky I don't have it on my front doorstep. Now, people who are responsible for this are the contractors that you are paying $90 an hour for. I live in a cul-de-sac. They seem to think that the only place they can park the snow is in front of my house because I'm in the middle of the cul-de-sac. Okay? Half the time, I don't get to see my house until April. The snow is piled so high. I have been putting up with this for 23 years. Last year, which was a bad year, I will admit, it was a mess. I talked to someone in Public Works, I don't know whether it was Daniel, but whoever it was spoke with some authority and said that he would come out and look at it, and he did. And called me back and said, I don't think it looks bad. Really? I don't know. As a matter of fact, that contractor does a good job. Really? You want to pay my $15,000 tax bill? And I can't even get my cul-de-sac plowed without having my grass ruined. I am very fussy about my property. I'm especially fussy about my landscaping, which Ray can back me up on that.
Tested it.
So this is deja vu. It happens every year. And I am really, really fed up with it. Now I am in, do I look like a sod buster? Do I look like I can take a shovel and pick up sod and put it back where it belongs? Or I can take the repair, which I've been offered several times. Oh, we'll come out, we'll fix it. Can I describe what that consists of? Bringing grass seed in, throwing the sod out, putting some dirt on top of the grass, and maybe I'll get grass by August. Now, it won't be the same color as the grass that I have on the rest of the parkway, but that's their idea of fixing it. That's not my idea of fixing it. My idea of fixing it is keeping a better eye on the contractors. Now, let me tell you something. When I see a village truck come in with a plow into my cul-de-sac, I say a rosary, thanking God for the village plow. I don't get the village plow very much. Those contractors have no regard whatsoever. They're just there to zip it through, get the snow wherever they get it. The guys at the village, probably if they could, would manicure the snow. They do such a wonderful job. Kudos to them. Those contractors are worthless. And I think that it's time somebody really looked into what kind of work they're doing, really followed up on it. So what am I to expect? Do I have to get a landscaper in to fix the parkway? Or should I try doing it myself and fall on my face? I'm in no shape for that. That's my problem. Does anyone have any comments?
Yeah, Carol, I'd like to address that. What we'll do is we'll have Dan come out and visit you personally and address the issue at your home so he can physically see that. Is that acceptable? Okay.
Yeah.
Carol, is that acceptable?
It is, unless he comes back and tells me that it's not bad.
Yeah.
Pretty good, actually. I don't think it was bad.
Well, I have confidence.
I don't want to say that it was you.
I have complete confidence that between Dan and you, this can be, you'll be satisfied.
I mean, I came home this afternoon and I was livid.
Yeah. Were you out of town?
No.
Okay, ma'am, can we get your address?
It was like the rest of the snow melted. You want to bear in mind that they pack so much snow on my parkway that, as I said, half the time I don't see my grass or my house until April.
Well, that's the best we can do right now. Oh, Dan, if you would kindly, step up and.
What's your address?
1215 Triple Crown Court.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
I'll definitely meet with you, and we will take care of it. And I will address this with our contractors, make sure that we get that corrected so that it doesn't occur again.
And may I ask also, they reached out and asked me, if I would approach you and discuss this with the village. If you'd be kind enough to let me know what the results were, I'd appreciate that also.
Sure, we can do that.
And Carol, obviously you have my number.
You indeed. And I certainly appreciate any efforts that you could afford me because, as I said, you get to a certain age. And, I love Bartlett. I've been here for 23 years. But I've got enough to keep me busy trying to keep up with the property without somebody coming and doing damage like that. It's just, that damage is just totally unnecessary.
I understand you're upset, you're angry, and we'll do everything we can.
I am confident that you will.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, I've been wanting to share this for a long time.
Can I ask you a question? Is this the first time that you've spoken in front of the board? You said it's been happening for 20 years?
Uh-huh.
And have you brought it up?
I've called,
Okay.
and many times it's a situation where the sod is easy to manipulate back to where it belongs, and then it's okay. And I've also had the seed service, which is useless. But when the village does something good, I have called up Public Works to compliment them. I did so with the leaf sweeping this year. They did a wonderful job.
Good.
I always have good words to say for the village people.
Well, it seems obvious now we need to do a little better vetting on these contractors because this is the second person that's gotten irritated, so.
I cannot believe I'm only the second.
Yeah, last Tuesday.
Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate it very much.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, what do we got next on our budget agenda? Finance? All right. Page 1 of Finance.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to present the Finance Department budget, and Chris Hostetler is here to go over Central Services after I'm done. The Finance Department budget has decreased 4% from last year. The department has decreased its staffing by 1.5 full-time equivalents. Our department secretary will be held open. Our department secretary left for higher places, but
Well, I'm very sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Higher places. I thought he meant something else. Never mind.
We could still find her. We're also proposing to keep or reclassify a full-time water billing clerk to part-time in this year's budget. And as Dan explained, that water billing clerk position is shown in water and sewer, but the daily supervision of that clerk is under the Finance Department. As far as our action steps, we've been notified by the Public Works 150 collective bargaining union that their agreement is set to expire April 30th of 2016, and we will be beginning the negotiating process to start a new successor contract and put together all the data that we need to collect to be able to negotiate with that group. And we'll continue to manage the 5-year capital budget and yearly operating budget to ensure a balanced budget and cost-effective expenditures throughout the organization. As far as some of our accomplishments from this past year, again, we presented to the village board a 5-year capital plan and in our operating budget as we're going through this year. We worked with Christopher B. Burke to analyze and develop a rate structure for water charges based upon the new water study. And this past year, we worked with a benefit consulting firm to provide an analysis and a cost-benefit analysis in looking at our group health insurance plan versus a self-insured plan. What we've also done is provide assistance, the cash receipting services. Our main office cashiers provide that service for the new administrative adjudication system. Some other highlights in the finance department. We've received the GFOA Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting for the 33rd consecutive year, and we've received the GFOA's Distinguished Budget Award at April 30th of 2015 for the 20th consecutive year, and we'll continue to apply for and get certifications in those two areas. On page 3, looking at our authorized staffing again, as I explained before, the department secretary will be held open and not filled this year, along with the water billing clerk going to half-time. As we talked about last week a little bit as far as a real estate transfer tax under our activity measures, we are ramping that up a little bit. You can see now that from 2010, 2011, we issued 714 stamps. We're climbing back up to 1,300. So we see some good activity there. And as far as our utility bills that are issued, hopefully that'll go up a little bit more as we get some new residential and commercial development in the village. On page 4, not requesting any new personnel. Page 5, we have no capital outlay this year. Page 6, our professional development. The Assistant Finance Director, Todd Dowden, is proposing to attend the Illinois Government Finance Officers State Conference in Normal. We put some dollars in for Chicago Metro GFOA meetings for additional training. Our Human Resources Manager does training for the annual IPELRA conference, and we did budget $425 for some of our technical and clerical staff to have some training in payroll and water billing and whatnot. As far as our professional association detail, nothing's really changed. Myself and the supervisors are all proposing to have their existing memberships continued in this year's budget. On page 8, as far as the line item, again, under personnel services, you can see it's going down 4%, and that's really a function of our secretary being left open. We do have a line item, rebates. Those are still the utility tax rebates, and we did put money in there. We're scheduled to send out rebate checks in June or July of this year. And really, besides that, that is really the highlights of the Finance Department budget. If there aren't any questions, I'll turn it over to Chris Hostetler, who will do Central Services.
Yeah, I have a question I'd like to ask you. You know, you've made it quite clear that you eliminated the finance secretary. Who's picking up the slack? Who's covering?
We shifted all those responsibilities between myself, Todd Dowden, our assistant finance director, and staff members in the finance department. Everybody picked up the slack there, and we were able to kind of shift out some of her duties.
That has to be very difficult to operate that way, don't you think?
It was a change, yeah.
Well, let me ask, in the future months, if we had to replace the finance secretary, typically what salary range would they be in?
The secretary position has a starting salary, I believe, $40,000 to $45,000 a year.
Okay. And how long do you think you could continue under the current conditions?
Well, we got through the budget, and for the last, it's almost been a year now, we've been able to do the daily operations of the secretary pretty efficiently. So I'm confident that we can get through another year at least.
When that occurs, that the secretary has to be added again at a base salary of approximately estimated at $45,000, we're showing that we have 4% you were saving on the total finance expenditures. How much would that change that?
I'd have to calculate the number. I think we'd still be down.
We'd still be down, yeah. We're only adding $45,000.
Well, you're adding 45,000, but when you talk about insurance,
IMRF,
pension, and FICA.
So even if we made it $60,000, we'd still be.
You'd be close.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
5%. Jeff, can I ask you a quick question? I think I brought this up one time before. How many people do we use to manually process the manual checks that we get for water and sewer? Is it like a...
You mean the billing or the collection?
Yeah, both. Like the postage we send out is like $29,000 a year for just postage, right, for bills?
Well, actually, our water bills now are printed out of the office. We changed that, and we save money.
Okay.
We actually save money on postage because we were able to put a barcode on there, and they can scan it, and you get the lower postage rate. So that whole program...
You need to put the due date bigger, though, because my wife never seems to pay it until the last day. I'm just kidding. What I'm getting at is it seems at some point we should be able to get to the point where we don't need so many people to process manual checks, some way to do it online, you know?
Well, as far as collection, we have a lockbox. When you write a check, send in your water bill, it goes over to First Eagle Bank, which gives us a phenomenal rate to process that. They send us an electronic file and transfer the cash. We have direct debit. We have now everybody's online bank. You can actually do an online check. We have an account with Chase Bank because there's so many people who do online banking through Chase, and we get payments through that. And we also have the ability to take credit cards now, ePay. You can do that online or come into the office. But we still have, we do have a kind of a senior, I'll call it a senior-oriented parts of the village.
Right.
We have a lot of seniors that love to come into town.
There's always somebody coming in here to make it at the counter.
Just ask what's going on.
The reason for the question is that I think I look back on previous years, and it seems that we're gradually reducing staff, and it's probably from automation. I'm just wondering what that looks like in the future.
Well, being able to contract out the printing of those bills really gave us this opportunity to scale back that clerk.
Okay.
And our goal is to kind of cross-train her, too, to do more. That half-time clerk now will do more in the main office and answering phone calls and things like that. So.
Good. Thank you.
Sure.
Which apparently residents do look at. I never did. I had a patient come in the other day and she said, why am I sending my water bill to Streamwood? I said, I don't know, but I'll call and talk to him.
Yeah.
So I called and talked with Lorna, and she talked to whoever over in whatever department and gave that answer, and I told it back to her, and I thought, well, here we go. We're saving money by dispersing that out or by having the banks do the work that the employees here at the village would have to do. Is that right?
Yeah, if we didn't have that service, we'd have to have at least 2 other billing.
So I think it's great. So kudos to you guys for doing
and,
it. It's good.
Over the last 5 or 6 years in the main office, we used to have 4.5 full-time people.
Yeah, that's it. I remember.
We're now down to 2.5.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose perspective of that because that operation, the collections, has been reduced over the last 5 or 6 years.
Just make a comment relative to Trustee Daney's concern. Over the past, 5 or 6 years, we have reduced the workforce by 12 employees. And we haven't replaced any of them. The only one that we have taken on some part-time in the building department for inspections because those were necessary. We, as you know, have eliminated the janitor this year, which has been interesting. Jim picks up our recycling, and I have a picture of me cleaning my carpet in my office. So while there may be different departments who would say, we'd really like to get that staff back, it will make things easier, I don't anticipate, given the budgets that we have and that we have coming, that we will be doing that. And I think we're doing okay.
Sounds like you're doing better than okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a question related to water, actually the billing. I know a lot of people from ComEd and NICOR, they get their bills electronically through email. Do you ever see that happening here at the village?
The issue is cost.
You know?
As far as our financial system may be able to do that, but it would be a substantial upgrade to do it, to do like e-bills. We have questions like that every so often, and the goal is always to try to hold down costs, especially in water billing, because we try to keep the rate as low as we can. But again, we can take a look at it this upcoming year as we get ready to look at our software again.
I think that's kind of something you can try to possibly phase in, because you're never going to get some people are never going to want an e-bill.
Right.
But so you could eventually phase in an e-bill situation as technology gets better. Every year there's better apps for that.
Right.
So
I also have a question about the transfer stamps. When there's a foreclosure, do the banks pick up the tab?
Yeah, you stump me. Yes, they do if they are. It's complicated because it has to do with.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Handles.
It depends on what they have.
Because when the judicial deed is recorded, in order for the recorder's office to record it, they have to have the Bartlett transfer stamp fixed.
That's right.
And while we're talking about legal stuff, page 9, the ordinance codification. I noticed that in 2015-2016 budget you had $8,500, and then for this upcoming budget, $68,000. So that's a pretty significant decrease for what's really, I think, too expensive of a service. But so why, how are we saving that money?
There's more. I believe there's more in-house. This is the building and community development departments, and I think we just charge my budget. Jim?
I like that idea. We're probably not going to.
We're down. Costs are down for that.
Costs are down because most of that is probably, the building code was completely revised. We had some zoning amendments.
Okay.
This year we'll have some more zoning amendments. They just won't be as voluminous. We're trying to decrease the number of pages and delete things and make it more chart user-friendly. So that's why.
Thank you. This is the particular service that's online that you can. And
very expensive.
Is there other organizations that do this?
I'm sure there are. Sterling's kind of the
Primo.
main one.
And they're all expensive.
Yeah. So it's a business to get in.
It is.
thank you, Mr. Martinowicz.
All right, Mayor and trustees, I'm going to review the central services budget. As you all know, that's the budget that funds the items that can't be easily assigned to any individual department. The overall budget is down by 1%. I'm going to go ahead and go straight to the capital request items, which is on page 12. All right, the first item, which has not been funded, was the replacement of our phone system at Village Hall, Police Public Works, and Bartlett Hills. But that item is not being funded this year. All right. Item number 2, the squad car video storage server and archiver. This is the server that stores all the videos from all of our squad cars. It's reached 5 years old. It's near its capacity, and considering the news you see every night about some police department not being able to produce some kind of video, this is not an item I would want to put off. The same would go for number 3, the squad car video camera systems themselves. This is to replace 5 of them, We are also looking at upgrading the video quality, so we'll have a slightly better quality in the cars. Item number 4 was for 24 Toughbook computers. This was an item that was requested last year but deferred, and apparently we're going to defer it one more year. Again, this is, these are computers that the police need to help them receive the calls for 911, to help tell them where they need to go, but we'll see if we can stretch it. Item number 5 is the only new item. It's a license. Last year we added a new GIS person. Currently we only have 2 licenses to run the GIS level software that they need, so this is to provide a license so you can actually work on that full time. Item number 6, this is a copier for administration. Again, very heavily used copier, as you know. It was asked for last year and was deferred. I don't think we can really put it off again, so we're looking at funding that. Item number 7 was a copier for finance. This again was requested last year, but we will try deferring it one more year. And item number 6, a copier for the main office. Again, over 5 years old, and was deferred previously. Any questions about any of those items?
Yes, I have a question about your copiers. Why are we purchase these copiers outright?
We do.
And why is it that we don't lease them? I mean, other than
the opinion of our finance department has always been, why should we pay somebody, pay extra in a way of financing? We have an equipment replacement fund, so when we buy a copier and we say this copier is going to last us 5 years old, beginning year 1 we start putting money away into our equipment replacement fund. So by the time of the end of the 5 years, we're able to purchase that. The idea is we earn the interest rather than leasing, and we would be paying them interest. So that's the approach that we've always taken.
Which is a great idea. Obviously, I think it's...
Well, I'd just like to ask a question based on that also. When I used to lease copy machines for our business, we always had a service contract that worked in conjunction with the leasing arrangement. So consequently, as we would know, any repairs, maintenance, that would all be covered under the lease agreement. The copy machines that we purchase, I don't know what the warranty is on those.
We maintain service agreements for all of our copiers. So this is also an item we look at when we purchase the copier. It's part of the negotiation. We only buy copiers from reputable companies. They may sell to us once, but maybe never again. But we always, when we're purchasing a copier, frankly, I don't focus so much on the price of the copier as much as I do on the maintenance agreement, because those tend to end up costing you more over the time.
Exactly.
So I really focus on that, and I get them to give it to us as low as we can, and I make them usually I don't allow any increases for the 5-year life that we expect.
The copy machines that we have, the cost of new ones are $21,000 for 2 and $6,500 for the other. There has to be some resale value, I would think, trade-in value?
There's some trade-in value, not a whole lot, to be honest, because pretty much by then they've reached their end of the life, and it's just not worth much.
Thank you.
What's the big difference between the copier for $21,000 and $6,500?
Well, one is a color copier that's capable of handling a large load. The 6,500 is pretty much for the main office, just to be able to go back, make a quick copy, a bunch of copies for individuals.
I think we could buy a cheaper one if we went and got most of our information electronically, like this budget.
We've actually been moving towards purchasing fewer printers and using the copiers more, because we get a better price per page by using the copiers. So I would hate to reduce the quality of that machine if we're trying to reduce the cost or we're eliminating printers. So
the answer is no.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question regarding the Toughbook computers for the squad cars, and maybe this obviously ties in with the police department, but I seem to recall that we put this off maybe last year.
Yes, we did.
And, you know, when we're talking about police officers out in the field and reliability, that causes me to pause because obviously I want to make sure that all of our officers have what they need to be safe and to do their jobs. Is this going to be an issue? Is reliability going to be an issue for the police department? Are we getting to that point? I'm not in a hurry to spend $96,000, but if we need to do it for officer safety and service, we should do that.
Well, we've been working with Chris over the years to figure out things that in the years that have one house.
You get him a microphone.
I'd rather have the finance department computers go down than the police department.
Right. Well, you know, no disrespect, but.
Well, we appreciate your concern,
No
but
disrespect,
Chris has
Jeff.
been all over that, and he's been monitoring it, and we're pretty comfortable with the phase-in system that he's developed over the years.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll go, if there's no other questions, I'll move on. Training and development, that is reduced slightly from last year. Professional organizations haven't changed, and that pretty much covers central services.
Oh, I had one last question. I'm sorry. So on page 17, you have a line item for service agreements, and you've got Kohler Field Alarm System Maintenance Agreement is $750. And that got me to start thinking about how much does it cost generally for us to maintain Kohler Field? Between the alarm system and everything else. I don't expect anybody to have that information off the top of their head, but it's something that, you know, maybe we could, at a subsequent meeting, talk about that cost. Because I think there was some discussion about the need for some capital improvements out there or something like that, and, you know, $750, why don't we talk about that at a future meeting? And then the council chamber sound system. Does that mean we're going to be able to hear each other in here?
No, that's just maintenance.
What?
You know, we're trying to keep things bare bones. I mean, it's really just about keeping the lights on these days. I mean, the phone system is one item that, you know, if you're going to spend any money on, that might be the thing you'd want to spend some money on rather than even being able to hear yourself. But I'm sorry.
So you've kind of lost me. So for this $2,000 line item, then, what is that going to do for us?
Well, that's just maintenance. So that's you know, I have one piece of equipment that dies in there. That's $2,000.
Okay. Okay. So it's like an amplifier or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now I got you. Now I got you.
Well, we got you up there, speaking of phone system.
I was hoping you'd ask.
I am continually impressed by the ability for me to call some places and have that person respond to almost every answer that I have, although it's a VoIP. It's not a real person. And I know how we all feel about having a real person answer that phone here at Bartlett, but at some point we're going to have to consider the cost of an employee versus a phone system that will answer that phone, right? So I think that at some point we're going to have those numbers, because it's not if it's ever going to happen. It's just a matter of when it probably will happen, where we have the automated phone system that sounds exactly like somebody that can respond to every call and route them. It's cheaper. It doesn't have insurance. It doesn't have retirement.
Doesn't go on vacation.
Doesn't go on vacation. So at some point, I mean, again, like Trustee Ranke, I don't expect it now, but at some point I would guess we're thinking down the line. If we're thinking a new phone system, what's the plausibility of having that auto-generated, you know, cart me to the right department type of...
Well, and the analysis for that is we don't have anyone who does just answering phones. So we have to look at that pretty carefully and say, okay, if the first call is going to be to a computer, who at the front desk who would answer the phone can we get rid of? We're down to 2 people now, 2.5, and they're dealing all day long with people who are there. But maybe there is.
Yeah.
Maybe there's one person.
I understand what you're saying.
And then when it goes to a department, of course, it goes to another person. But we are going to get rid of Lorna, who is the secretary for 7 people in our department who answers the phone. So that may be overestimated in terms of what we would save. But you're right. It probably will come at some point. That's too bad. I have always said that I think we should, and you probably know my quote by now, cling tenaciously to the vestiges of human contact, because I think that goes a long way with our residents. If it saves us real money, certainly we have to do that, particularly when we're looking at a 16-year-old phone system that is so 17 years, that we can't even find parts for. Chris was delighted the other day when he told me that he knew of a couple of other businesses that were throwing out these systems, because that meant that we could scavenger some of them. And certainly we are prepared that in the middle of the year it may fall apart, and we're prepared to respond quickly. But if we can stretch it out one more year with the issues we're going through, I think we should do it.
It never ceases to amaze me when I walk into my office and the whole administrative office and any office in here, and it's got the push button. Let me put you on hold, and it's actually a button that pushes in.
Oh, and Chris's 2 buttons on your phone stick.
The phones have got to be older than 20 years.
Do you guys have that in your office? I don't.
Well, the only place I can find them is eBay. And even on eBay, it's getting extremely difficult to find.
Well, let's have the whole village go to cell phones, and then we won't have to worry about it.
Yes, and I am supposed to tell you that Jeff's 2 buttons stick on his phone and have for years. I don't think that's particularly relevant, but he wanted me to mention.
Switch it out with mine.
I guess it's better than the Progresso soup can where the whole button is the scissors.
WD-40, that affects it.
Excellent job. Administration.
Put that light bulb in my head, thank you.
I don't know if Valerie told you, but we got a text from Scott this afternoon saying that he was really, really sad that he wasn't going to be here tonight because this is his favorite night of the whole year.
It's on drugs.
Really, really strong ones. And so I'm going to try to muddle through our department without Scott's assistance. And we get to our tab. Presently, our budget has a 0% increase compared to last year. Last year's budget, like this one, does not contain any personnel or equipment requests, and it maintains our service levels and programs provided by our department. Earlier this summer, you all looked at the 2 biggest dues that we pay to the conferences of government, the Northwest Municipal Conference and the DuPage Mayor and Managers Conference, and decided to maintain our membership in both of those. Some of those dues did come down, and so we do see a slight reduction in that line item, as well as subscriptions and publications. As they're moving more digital, they're becoming much more affordable. I'm going to skip over that for a minute. Our budget also includes funds to recognize our 125th anniversary, the banners that went up, the programs in the museum, and I know that that'll be a topic for us on Saturday, so we do have some funds in the budgets to do some things in recognition of that anniversary, whatever it is that we land on. Some of the highlights from the past year. This past year, we started a wellness committee. We've remorphed the safety committee into the wellness and safety committee. We do a wellness program for the village staff, mostly provided in-house. It's an hour the 3rd Wednesday of every month. It's been very well received by the employees, and it runs the gambit from stress reduction to flu prevention, and it's next week is severe weather training. So it really does run the gambit, and it's been a great addition. The Go Request mobile application, you'll see in our activity measures, we have 2,125. That's a village-wide total, not just a departmental total. But along with that, those GO requests that come into us, that's the automated complaint system that we have throughout the village, a survey will go out to the residents, and it's not compulsory. You know, it just, if you would like to respond, please do so. And the responses that we have from this past year have been very positive. The majority of the responses on those surveys, our residents are pleased with our efficiency in getting the problem solved, the time that it takes us to address their issue, the courteousness of our staff, and the thoroughness of their response. So we've really been very pleased by that back-end component of the system, not just the ease at which residents can make their issue known to us and be able to track our responses, but also getting that feedback back from the residents. Like I mentioned, we have no personnel changes. We have no capital requests. Our professional development activities remain the same, and as do our memberships. Those are all existing. The big issue that we have in our budget, which is why I said we are presently at zero, is the civic funding. That ordinance went into effect in June, and last meeting we looked at the applications that we received. The proposed budget does not account for the new requests that we received. It only budgeted at what we had the previous year. So that's the big nut for our budget, and any kind of fluctuation in that is how you would like to address that in those applications.
Well, I believe that's still, we'll have that on our agenda, what, Tuesday? Is that correct?
Saturday?
Yeah, the funding.
We can. I do not have that on the agenda for Tuesday, but if that's when you would like to take it up, I certainly would put it on.
Yeah, that may not be a bad idea, because I know that there's been some discussion, you know, and I know that there was a proposal that was presented for the budget, but there could be some mixed reactions at this point, considering many of us only had an opportunity to look at it for a short period of time, and now after having an opportunity to look at it and reflect upon it, there may be some changes.
Well, given that we're talking about the budget, I think the line item, and this is just my opinion, I think the line item should remain the same. Okay. Clearly, our intent was not to increase the expenditure. So for the purposes of the budget that we're reviewing now, and we'll approve it in due time, I don't think that that line item should increase. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I agree.
But we certainly shouldn't increase.
Mr. Carbonaro, you started to address the issue, and I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I think we did have some discussion on this. And unfortunately, you know, we did make some major cuts to the budget. We also made some major cuts to the revenue stream to the village. I honestly don't think that this is the year to expand that part of the budget. We're making cuts in all different departments. We're not hiring people. Maybe we should just leave it as is my opinion.
And I certainly agree with Trustee Carbonaro and Trustee Ranke. However, what I'd like to see put in place, and what I've briefly discussed with some of the other trustees, is a way of evaluating the requests that are coming in. In the academic world, they use a process called a rubric. And a rubric allows you to give a grade to a paper, let's say, by meeting certain format. And I'd like to see the staff come up with, or however we're going to do it, come up with a rubric that basically said, if these criteria are met, then this organization would get this much money. If say there's 5 of them, and if they only meet 4 of them, they only get this much money, and so on and so forth down, meeting the criteria of that rubric.
We actually are halfway there. I think if you look at the ordinance lays out about 5 or 6 different, I call them standards. But what they don't have to make it an effective rubric is there's no points awarded towards it. So we actually have taken half a look at having some points to see where if you get that many points, you would get this much. I don't think we're quite done, but I think that's along the lines we were trying to add to the ordinance a point system to that.
Good.
And I'm sure Brian has thoughts on that as well.
No, we didn't tell him yet.
What was that?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So do we agree to leave this as is then, or?
I don't understand what you mean by as is. As the way that it was presented here?
Yes.
Because the current line item
okay.
is what it was in last year.
That's correct.
We have not increased it.
That is correct.
Okay, so I guess that's as is.
As is.
Okay.
Is that vague enough for you, Paula?
Got it.
I think it's a tricky situation when stuff comes up, primarily because it is so subjective, and that's impossible almost to put into a grading mechanism, but it is what it is, and it's our task to get it down, and we'll work on it this year and next year, and we'll make sure it's equitable.
Right.
Perfect. I don't know if I like the term rubric.
Not my term. It's an
I always think
academic.
about, is that like that cube?
Don't like it.
It's similar to a...
Don't go there.
The rubric's cube, is that what we're going to use? Whoever fixed
It's a different
Yeah, we're
word.
going to time them and see how fast they can do it, and they'll get it.
Right. I then will review the general government expenditures for professional development, which is on page 14 after the administration budget. You have seen all of these categories before. First one is the actuarial consultant. We actually have moved up that cost a little bit because this consultant is charging more. We split that with the police pension fund, and we have an actuarial done of our police pension fund every year. Professional planners, that one's down, but that $5,000 you see there is the remaining amount that we owe on our TOD plan. We split that with CMAP, and so after we pay that project will be completely paid for. Under legal services, we don't have much change. That is, as you know, Brian Mraz, our prosecutor, Mr. Krupp, our negotiator for our labor unions and our personnel issues is Bob Smith, and we increased it a little bit because now we're going full-time with our local adjudication, and that is Mr. Bastian, and that's what covers those items. Engineering services ought to be going down. That was when we were using Burke for a lot of the drainage projects that we're doing all over town, and our 2 major projects are completely done. So that will just be some of the work that we're doing with Elgin Water, but most of that engineering will come out of the water division. So this one should be pretty stable. Those are the items that we spend in our professional development, and then underneath you have the IRMA premiums and our deductible payments, which have gone down, and we did get credit, but they haven't gone down as much as last year, so it's not reflected this year particularly well. So that's in professional development. And if there aren't any questions, I would ask the whole team of the police department to come forward. Hanging around in the back row for some particular reason, now they have to come forward.
Is it correct that Jim actually set up the schedule for each department?
Well, in error,
He put the
the
police
contest, here's how the contest works.
So
You get
Jim,
to
I
pick
would watch the parking tickets.
your
They've
order.
been hanging out forever here.
Your order is what you get to pick, not the whole thing.
Oh.
This year, Jim decided he was going to pick the whole thing, not just his order.
And it's
This
very
is what he did.
characteristic of our police department.
friend.
As humble and as awesome as they are to agree to be last. So thank you, Chief.
Well, good evening. Thank you for your patience and your dedication.
Save the best for last, right?
23 pages.
Yes, my boss wants me to start off the evening with an innovative project the police department put together to save some funds on uniforms.
Nice.
We're very excited.
Is there a camera in that?
Yeah, yeah, we're going to put a camera in it, and you will notice that line item went down considerably.
I think we should each get one.
Actually, very excited. Actually, we're looking forward to the open house. We hope you all come. Well, good evening. The budget proposed by the police department is flat, no increase this year. However, it still represents a budget that supports our motto of serving with care and protecting with confidence during our over 30,000 police contacts a year with residents and non-residents of the village of Bartlett. This budget represents a philosophy more than just numbers of how to provide tools, training, competencies, confidences, reduced fear, reduced anger, and predictably professional police performance on a regular basis throughout the year. So we appreciate your dedication to that. There are no requests for personnel this year, and there are several highlights. I might just brush over a couple of them. We continue to restructure the police department, stay dedicated to the directed patrol team, which provides both overt and covert police practice to reduce the nuisance complaints within the village regarding gang activity and criminal damage, burglaries, and narcotics. It has proven a tremendous success and has played itself out with our contacts with those type of issues. We continue to have one of the more highly trained cyber investigations officers in the Midwest working for the village of Bartlett, which proves highly fruitful in identifying criminals and trends within the village and capturing predators of children over the internet. We won 4th place for National Night Out this year in the entire nation. Usually that, for any other community, that would get a big ovation. For the village, that we get one of those little petty claps because we're used to doing better than that, but we think what they're doing is politically sharing the wealth a little bit so other towns don't drop out with a lack of hope. So we're willing to play nice in the sandbox there, but we expect better things in the future. And we appreciate the village's dedication. That's one of our truly huge community outreach programs that pays dividends throughout the generations of our community, as a matter of fact. We stay dedicated with finding every opportunity we can to reduce expenditures through grants. This year we anticipate that will be close to $170,000 worth of support, both state and federal, through our tobacco compliance and our traffic enforcements and our alcohol compliance checks throughout the year. Another highlight was CALIA, the accreditation process. We received our 7th accreditation award throughout the years. That's every 3 years. We've been dedicated to that as a village for quite some time. It's proved very fruitful to us. For the last 4 years, we've been considered a model agency for other agencies throughout the international law enforcement community. We've received our 4th Accreditation with Excellence Award. So the way I try to sum this up is approximately 3% of law enforcement institutions are nationally accredited. Of those 3%, 2% of the 3% have received the Excellence Award 4 times. So we're in pretty rare air when it comes to police professionalism. We're very proud of that and appreciate the board's success on that. The local adjudication program is in full swing. It's proved beneficial to the members of the community who are able to bypass the rigorous court systems of Cook County and are able to mitigate their minor offenses right here at the village. The police department also initiated its first teen police academy through the high school, serving all Bartlett students through both South Elgin and Bartlett High School. Tremendous success. The teachers were ecstatic. The parents were ecstatic. Most importantly, the students got a lot out of it, and we created some lifelong partnerships with them as well. The second Citizens Police Academy went off, and again, that's just become a hallmark for community relations within the village, and we anticipate supporting that into the future as well. The Bartlett Police Department was instrumental in starting the STAR team throughout the northwestern suburbs this year, which is a serious traffic accident reconstruction team. We were trying to figure out a way to keep costs down through capital, training, and personnel by being able to investigate serious or fatal traffic accidents within our community by teaming up with other communities. And we were looking at the capital outlay over the years of how all the technologies in order to investigate these type of accidents and get into the motors and the computer systems of all the vehicles. It's just very cost taxing. So we figured, if we're all doing it, why don't we pool resources? We did that, and we were able to save enormous amounts of capital outlay, training costs, and personnel costs. To date, they've investigated over 30 now fatal accidents in our area, and they've been able to do that extremely efficiently with multiple investigators attacking the situation very quickly, able to get to the root cause, finalize the accident, and open the roadways in post-haste. So that's been a very huge success. We continue to do vice operations and special operations leading to rare prostitution arrest in one of our massage parlors. We will continue to stay dedicated to that. We were able to bring criminal charges of homicide against a gentleman who was responsible for a long-term missing subject in the village of Bartlett. Our detectives spearheaded that for over a year, and we were able to bring that to a successful resolution this year. And the Bartlett Police Department continues to remain on point for the heroin response by law enforcement. To date, we've had over 50 saves in DuPage County with the Narcan program, which we initiated, and we're able to train all the officers in DuPage County and put Narcan with the first responders. Quite often the officers are there several minutes before the paramedics, and those minutes matter when it comes to a person who's lost consciousness and isn't breathing. We remain dedicated to the DDAX program, which is data-driven approaches to crime, traffic, and safety. That goes back to our cyber crimes officer who's able to do statistical analysis on where crimes are occurring. We match those up with where our traffic accidents are occurring. We do overlays on that, and that's where we throw a lot of resources at peak hours during the day and the week. And what we have found by tracking that over a year now is we're seeing overall crime trending down within the village of Bartlett by putting our resources where they need to be at the times they need to be there. So with that, we'll move on to personnel, and that'll be a quick one. There are no requests for additional personnel this year. We then move on to capital outlay, most of which is going to be in the routine vehicle replacement cycle. We requested 5 new squad cars this year. They were either aging out or at the mileage they were projected to be. It would be time for them to go due to resale value, maintenance costs, and the hidden factor of run hours on these engines. We don't have an ability to put our cars out of the elements, so they run sometimes most of the winter to keep them functional so they don't freeze over and the computers don't freeze up and the engines are ready to go during an emergency. So there's tremendous hours, not just miles, on these cars, and the time was due. These were the few that were due. We're getting one new community service, one replacement community service vehicle. We pushed the other one. We'll hold that one over for a year. So one of them was not funded. As we move down, there are a couple more squad cars that were approved, and the court officers was not funded. We will push that one another year. And then it is time now, if you go down to number 9 on page 9, it's time for a replacement of the light bars. We'll start phasing those in waves due to the fact that they've aged out. There are no parts for them, and that's about what you expect to get is about anywhere from 6 to 9 years out of a light bar. I'll move through some of these. Police radar units, these are 15 years old. It's time to restart replacing those. This will be half the fleet this year. Number 11 is a kind of a high-dollar topic, but I think it's important, especially in today's issue with police consistent interactions with volatile people who aren't due to mental challenges or emotional challenges, they aren't able to listen to viable police instruction. Therefore, what do you do with a armed, non-compliant individual? And what we've chosen to do is weaponize officers with as many less lethal options as we can. The Sage 2-shot is something that I think I would like to have more of on the street to give our officers a viable opportunity to end these highly unpredictable, tense, uncertain, and potentially violent encounters without resorting to lethal force. So that's in the budget this year. We had the vests, rifle, continued transition to the rifles over the shotguns. Number 15 is the completion of a switchover for the Verizon truck modems, which are that creates a movable hotspot for the squad cars so they can communicate with base and the computers, and no matter where they are in the field. Very important piece of equipment, and that's another phased-in program that's come to its final stage. The LED mighty flares, we asked for those last budget, and they become so popular that we're asking for another series of those. This does away with the actual flame on a flare, but they're just as bright and they flicker like a flare does. You really can't tell the difference, and it garners all the attention that a flare does, but there's no flame. We love them, especially during community engagement where you're creating crosswalks, where people are crossing the street. There's no fear of a child or somebody stumbling too close to one of these flares. So they're just as visible and more safe, and they don't burn out. So in the long run, they're much cheaper as well. It's time for getting our new officers gas masks, and it's time to get the whole fleet new filters for those masks. There's a Dell laptop computer for investigations to take in the field in order to do lineups electronically. That's a new law in the state of Illinois, so they need a dedicated computer for that. One tough book for the command post so that we can get all the details and all the intel that we would need into the command post. We cut one of those. There's one still in the budget. Some barriers for crime scenes, a trailer for the ATV for when wherever we're having to take it for long drives to get it to where it needs to be, whether it be in a different jurisdiction for one of our investigations or out to a corner of the town to look for a lost child or a walk-away. Then there's some technological equipment for undercover wires. 2023 would be an undercover operation where you either have a confidential informant or a detective in undercover where we can record those conversations. It's time for some very old refrigerators to be replaced in order not to place evidence of a biological nature at risk. An outdoor fixed camera is number 26. We get many requests from community members for extra watches, whether it be burglaries or consistent criminal damages to property or thefts in certain areas. This is a way for us to have eyes on an area without having it be personnel. And we can record 24/7 and garner those informations. And if there is a crime, we will have that captured on film. That's proven very fruitful for us over the years and very successful. 27 is a cell phone history reader, again for the cyber crimes expert. If we find somebody who in the commission of a felony or a crime, we can garner his phone, get a warrant for it, and this is the equipment that gets in and into the apps and into the communications so that we can find a network, a potentially criminal network associated with that phone. 28 is a request. As a matter of fact, last year we put this in the budget for Centennial. It's proven so successful. The community loves it. The schools love it. And it is a real safety enhancement that we wanted to continue that with an additional 2 schools. This one would be the next stage, which would be Bartlett Elementary, which would be North Avenue. Just so you know, we did put in for a grant for this, a matching grant through the caucus of mayors and managers. The mayor signed off on that, so that'll be being reviewed, and it would be nice if we could get shared costs with that. And if so, maybe we could expand it and kill 2 birds with 1 stone and complete Eastview the same year. The gas mask fit test, by law, if you're going to put personnel in a gas mask, you have to have a machine that makes sure that it is drawing proper oxygen throughout the filters in order not to overstress the lungs and heart. So that's just an OSHA standard. We are looking to find a local agency that can split the cost of that with us, and we're still under review of that. Update of the bicycle units. We've expanded that program immensely, and it's very popular in the community. We've also expanded into the mobile field force, which is the crowd control with the bikes as well. And then several items, the last four that were not supported this particular budget. It's portable message boards, a new speed trailer, again, talking to this phone system, and a bidirectional amplifier for the high school, which we are now working with U46 to see if we can find grants and a shared cost relationship with them for a very expensive piece of equipment in order so that we can better communicate within the high school. The high school is a fortress. It's hard for us to communicate with the staff in there or with our resource officer. And, our radio frequencies do not get through to the high school. So in an event of a major incident, it would prove laborious to communicate. Once we're in, we can communicate with each other, but it would be hard to communicate with additional responding units for the officers that are already in. So we're trying to rectify that, and quite a financial burden to do that. So we're doing researching that from several angles to try and reduce the burden on that. Number 38 was not funded, or 39, which is the body cams and the infrastructure in order to support that. Those are very expensive capital outlays, and upon discussion, it's kind of still all over the place. The train is going in that direction. I'm supportive of it. I could support doing it this year, but with the economy the way it is, and without the industry being really settled on the expectations of what is anticipated from that evidence, how it will be stored, whose privacy is protected, whose privacy isn't, what's open to FOIA, how many staff hours it would require to copy those type of things. It's just so unsettled now and so all over the place that I think it would behoove us as a village to wait another year and wait for the best practices to settle a little bit until you make such a capital outlay.
Plus, I think that there'll be a lot of funding for both storage as well as equipment coming within the next year as well, too.
Yeah.
And we have been working with Springfield. There is a dedicated effort for them to help phase in funding for that as well. They have not, for obvious reasons, known to the public, they haven't landed that plane yet, but when they do, we would anticipate some support for that. We'll move on to professional development. Just so you know, we cut out of the plan you see here, almost $60,000 has been cut out of that, so it lands at the same place it was last year and virtually the same training. So if you look at the one here, you'll see some high dollar items that just aren't going to be in the final one because we've been we have looked at cutting about $60,000 out of what you're seeing here. So if it really reflects last year's professional development with very few changes. That goes as well for affiliations. Almost all of them are existing except three. The three that are low cost and yet actually provides financial services to us and critical needs as far as intelligence. That would be the funeral travel arrangements, the critical reach, which is a way for us to do an all-points bulletin throughout the law enforcement community free of charge. At almost a nominal cost in order to do that. And then again, an association for our cyber crimes investigator. And a newly formulated Illinois Law Enforcement Canine Association. And we're on to line items. I think that pretty much sums it up. I'm available for any questions, any concerns, any follow-up, any digging deeper, whatever you might be interested in.
So, Chief, $4,000 for a National Night Out mascot costume?
I knew.
We're getting
How did I know that might raise an eyebrow?
coming in
What we're finding is our competition across the nation, who is consistently beating us, is they've all invested in that thing. So it is my competitive juices getting started.
Don't you think it'd be better that we just threaten the hierarchy in that organization that we're thinking about quitting?
That might be a viable alternative. Many years ago, I asked for this because I could see that's where they were trending, and instead I begged Patrick to wear tights with a big S on his chest and run around the park with a cape, and as it got closer, he got cold feet and wouldn't do that for me, so now I'm forced to come back to and beg. So.
Well, Chief, let me ask you this. Don't you find that obviously your target for McGruff or whoever this guy is, the mascot, don't you find that your target is really the children, and that they're more attracted to a better condition McGruff, so to speak, rather than an old ratty?
Exactly what it is. As funny as it sounds, it really is a tool that we would use for generations, quite frankly. We clean them, we put them away, they're only used for this event, and it really does create longitudinal relationships. National Night Out, as you all know, is just an amazing gem. I remember when we all started this about 28 years ago, it was a bunch of cops and about 6, 7 people. And now it's roughly 10,000 every year. And for years, as it was beginning to grow, we were like, geez, we're all the teenagers. How do we attract teenagers? And we tried to do that and bring in some things. And it worked a little bit, but not much. Now we're getting people from their 60s to 2 and a big chunk of teenagers. And we actually interviewed the teenagers. Why are you here? And they said, because we grew up with you guys. And literally that gives me goosebumps. So it's not so much what we're doing, it's the fact that we've been doing it so well, so long, that we've created a generational energy or synergy where people look forward to it every year. So yes, that's a long answer to yes, it would help a lot.
And we use those for the things we do at the schools too, the graduations, the DARE graduations.
Exactly right. That's what they're looking for, is to see their emblem splash throughout our interactions with the community. And hey, if it gets me a first place, we'll do that. And but back to you, it's a much more approachable McGruff. Actually, McGruff, we have it there every year, but it really makes a lot of the younger kids spook and run away, whereas this person's much more approachable. Looks like a Superman kind of thing. Very, very, very approachable.
I noticed my daughter eyed McGruff very carefully at that.
I knew you were going with that, and I
continue to do so. And if there's something frayed or some little worn item, she's going to notice that.
Absolutely, absolutely, good point.
Report it. Yeah.
Excellent point.
I have a question on 26, Chief.
Page 26?
Number 26, page 13, on the portable outdoor fixed surveillance camera. How long have we been thinking about, and where are we thinking about putting something like that?
I'm sorry, one more time.
How long have we been thinking about this, and where are we thinking about putting this camera?
Well, we have been doing it for years, and it doesn't have a fixed location. I can give you a recent one. Last summer, we have a group of people in the community who are continually attacking our property. So we would put officers on surveillance, and it was so hit and miss that it was just not cost-effective or efficient. So instead, we put a hidden surveillance system on their property, and we were able to catch them and bring them to justice. So it's a way of having eyes on without actually being there. It's not something that we really stick and leave permanently. It's mobile. So it's where a hot button area would be. Hey, listen, we think this public area or this business has drug activity behind it at 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursday nights. Well, then for 3 weeks we can put it there and garner some evidence. So it's kind of very versatile, and it moves around town depending on what the issue might be.
We don't run into any privacy issues?
Yeah, we have to be careful on that, and we are. There's very little expectation of privacy where we use these. It's usually on somebody's private property where somebody's targeting it for a crime.
Okay.
Do you have the ability to record the video too?
I'm sorry?
Can you also record that video?
That's exactly it. It's a wireless. It sends it to a computer and it downloads it. And if there is a crime, we can kind of figure out what time of day and week, and we can go right to it, and it captures it, and it cuts it, and it creates a disc for evidence for court.
Cool.
And Chief, there's been 3 items here for gas mask. Is there that much of a need for gas mask? Or are we just anticipating that there will be when the apocalypse hits or something? I mean, have we ever used gas masks before, and do we have gas masks?
If there is, the trustees should have them too.
Absolutely, if that's the case.
Yeah, there is rarely a year it goes.
There's one for me.
I don't know, Ray.
Yeah, we send our officers into the unknown a lot, and whether it be a tipped-over truck with fumes, whether it be a tanker trailer with fumes, whether it be a barricaded subject that we're introducing gas into to get him out with on our terms rather than having to go in on his terms. So, yeah, they're actually used more often than you think, and that's without being an alarmist of why the federal government came out with them in 2001.
Okay. The fire department has them as well.
I'm sorry?
Did you say the fire department as well?
The fire department uses SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatuses. That's actually a much more expensive piece of equipment. The fire department is fully self-contained. These are just filters for your face, so it's filtering out most harmful things, but it's not as good as a SCBA.
They're half mask respirators with cartridges, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they are. They're gas masks with cartridges, full of charcoal. Yeah.
Well, we're continually getting accolades for being a very safe community, so congratulations, Chief, and your staff. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Now there's a lot of equipment here, so instead of fourth, we're anticipating going up to first, as you would, keeping with that competitive spirit, right?
I have a very competitive, spirited staff, yes.
Very well.
I think you better start some rumors.
Anyone else? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Great job. You know, I say something. You guys are I'm always in awe at budget time of how well the budget is presented, which goes to you guys, and drawing in all these departments and getting the budgets done, et cetera, and it's all professionally done, easy to understand for the most part. And for me personally, thank you very much for what you do.
Well done. Yes. And you all get to come in and see our lovely faces on an extra night this month, so I believe that's it. All right, thank you all. Before we adjourn, thank you all for being out here and presenting. We appreciate it. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Kammer, seconded by Trustee Aaron's. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Aaron's?
Yes.
Cameron?
Yes.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Daney?
No, I think we should stick around here a little more. No, yes, that's a yes.
Yes.
Rinky?
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.